Today, my mom called me while I was driving, and she's like, once you set your location on the Apple system so that I know where you are at any given point in time. And I was like, I could share it, but you already know where I am. You're God. And that's precisely how Asian parents are, particularly Chinese parents. So if you want to date somebody who's Chinese, you're going to be learning Mandarin. So, and then that's my job, is to teach you Mandarin. And you need to understand two types of sound symbols. One is called BoPoMoFo or 注音, same thing. BoPoMoFo is the beginning of it. It's like saying ABCs. You need to know your ABCs, but it's BoPoMo, okay? And then you need to know the PinYin, which is what the communist Chinese learn, okay? Because they wanted to interface with English speakers, and so they just basically Romanized it and use English alphabet, which is not very accurate because you have to interpret the phonetics, whereas the BoPoMo is exact. It's a one-to-one correlation. It's like the sound is very specific to the character. There's no interpretation. So for instance, the PinYin, which is the communist Chinese version of it, has a really weird thing about the R's, okay? The R's. So if I say the name Robert, okay? Robert in English is a Robert, right? And the R's are not so similar in Chinese, okay? Robert versus the word day is 日, okay? Is there a similarity between Robert and 日? Kind of, okay? So therein lies the fault of what using the English alphabet to represent sounds are. So we have to learn the BoPoMo, which is a system that was created. I think it originated somewhere in Taiwan. Okay, so the beacon of democracy. Okay, so you have to learn both because there are a lot of people in China, and we won't talk politics, but in the eventuality, you are going to need to know both. Okay, so I'm going to go through the BoPoMo, okay, alongside the PinYin, okay. BoPoMoFo versus the PinYin, okay. BoPoMoFo versus the PinYin, okay. You can go along, okay. This is on Wikipedia when you look up BoPoMoFo, okay. So the first one is Bo, okay, and the PinYin is a B. So for instance, this is what it is, okay? This is the reason why people don't want to learn the characters. And I have to be honest with you, even though I'm a native speaker, I cannot remember these, okay? So I have to also review, okay? That's the first one's Bo, okay? Second one is Po, which is a consonant P, okay? Po, okay? Third one is Mo, okay? And this is represented by an M. So, mo. So far, bo, po, mo. Okay, fourth one is for, which is represented by an F. Okay, for, bo, po, mo, for. Okay, next, the. Okay, represented by D. The. See, that's not a D. A D is a D, right? But it's the. Okay, this is the reason why we need to learn this. K. Okay, represented by T. K. Okay. Now erase this one. Okay, next. It's too cheap to buy an eraser. And that you're gonna have to get used to if you date somebody who's Chinese. Okay. No. Okay. Represented by an N. No. Okay. L. Represented by an O. L. G. Represented by G. G. But really, G versus G. G or G. Okay? K. Represented by a K. 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 Represented by an H. H. Next one is G. Represented by J. G. Okay. Next. Qi. Okay, represented by a Q. I hate this one. Because how is Qi Q? Qi. Okay, but that's how they have to represent it, which is the reason why you ought to learn this one also. Qi. Okay. Xi. It looks like a capital T, but it's represented by an X. Xi. Zhi. Okay. Represented by a TS. Okay. Zhi. Chi. Represented by a CH. Chi. Shi. Represented by an SH. Shi. Zhi. Represented by an A. Zhi. Okay, this one's kind of difficult. It's represented by the Z. Okay. Okay, represented by a Z. Represented by a C. Okay. Represented by an S. Okay. Now. Ah. Okay. Represented by an A. Ah. O. Represented by an O. O. represented by an E. Okay. Yeah. Represented by an IE. Yeah. I. Represented by an AI. I. E. Represented by an EI. This is the one I forgot. It's an obsolete character, meaning E to move. E. A. It's actually an A. This is actually wrong. The Wikipedia is not quite right. It's A. It's okay, because when I remember memorizing this as a kid, it's A. Okay, EI is A. Okay. O is an AO. O. 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 Okay, next. Next is an. Oopsies. An, represented by an AN. Okay. An. N. Okay, next is N. It's represented by an EN. Okay. N. Represented by an ANG. Now, here's the difference between okay, which is ENG. Okay, so there's a big, huge difference between this character and this character, okay? You see the difference? There's a G at the end of the pinyin. One is N, this is okay? N versus okay? ER, represented by an ER. Okay, next. So funny because you remember it, you know, you don't really remember too much of it because you like, you know, it's like when you learn things when you're so young and then you don't go through it again. Okay, now. E. Okay, this is E. U. Represented by YU. Ooh. Or a this. Ooh. This is interesting. This minimal vowel here, I've never seen before. This is not standard. Okay, first we go with E. Okay, E is ooh. Oops, this is wrong. I just did something wrong. This is ooh. Okay, this is ooh. This one's ooh. The X is an ooh. And then the last one is E, Y, U. Okay, this is E. Okay. The very last one is very obscure. Nobody ever uses it, which is this. I've never seen it before. It's, I guess, an E. Okay. There you go. Okay, so you have to memorize it by reciting it. Okay, so we practice. This is how you practice. Okay. You practice it by saying, like your ABCs. Okay, it's bo, po, mo fo de te ne le ge ke he ji qi xi zhi chi shi ri zi ci si. Usually I say I, U, U, which is the last one, but we'll go with this list. A, O, E, I, A, O, An, Okay, so I'll give you my version of it because it's easier. My version of it is this. Bo, po, mo, fo. Okay, again. Bo, po, mo, fo, and then de, te, ne, le. BoPoMoFo de te ne le. Okay, and then ge, ke, he, and then ji, qi, xi, zhi, chi, shi, ri, zi, ci, si, and then I like saying I, U, U first. I, U, U, and then A, O, E, I, A, O, An, So this is how I read it, okay? BoPoMoFo de te ne le ge ke he zhi chi shi ri zi ci si I, U, U, O, E, I, A, O, An, Okay, this is how it goes. BoPoMoFo de te ne le ge ke he ji qi xi zhi chi shi ri zi ci si I, U, U, A, O, E, I, A, O, An, Okay. And that's the first lesson. But you have to learn the PinYin as well because it's easier to type and it's accepted in China.